Hey, welcome back! Today we're going to be looking at and analyzing a song from Shakespeare's The Tempest, Full Fathom Five, which is one of my favorite songs from the play. A play which is very, very musical and full of magic. This particular song appears just as a character, Ferdinand, has been introduced. He thinks that his ship has gone down into the sea, including all of the crew and his father, and he alone has been washed up on shore. It's part of the enchantment of the Isle and the machinations of Prospero that he believes this, and all of that is, of course, an important part of the plot, which you can study if you read the play, watch the play, or look at my notes somewhere else. As Ferdinand stumbles onto the scene, washed up on the shore, Ariel, the fairy, who's invisible, is singing to him and leading him in to the scene. I looked at the first song in my last video, Come Into These Yellow Sands, and Ferdinand, who is confused and disoriented, is surrounded by fairy spirits who apparently are singing and dancing, although he can't see them. But he's also very, very emotional because he believes he's just lost his father. And as he was grieving over his father, he heard this music and tried to follow it, and found that it was just part of the enchantment of the island. And just as he voices this, all of a sudden, Ariel begins to sing again, this song Full Fathom Five. Full fathom five thy father lies, of his bones are coral made, those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Hark, now I hear them, ding dong bell. And at this point, the spirits echo the burden, ding dong bell. Clearly, this song is about the death of his father, and it's a particularly striking song because it is full of mixed feeling. There's a sense of loss and grief that Ferdinand has just felt as his father, he thinks, has died. But there's also the general magic, and there's a sort of strange sweetness about it all. Let's look through the lyrics and unpack it. Full fathom five thy father lies. So the first line of this song just tells Ferdinand that his father is at the bottom of the ocean. He's 5 fathoms down, or 30 feet, 10 meters, which is striking and almost harsh, shocking to Ferdinand, who was just grieving for his father. It seems to confirm everything that he thought and feared. But then the song begins to describe what's happening to the father's body at the bottom of the ocean. Of his bones are coral made, those are pearls that were his eyes. And so it's almost as if his father, sinking down into the ocean, begins to transform. And it talks about his bones becoming coral, his eyes becoming pearls. Coral and pearls are both things that are thought of as particularly beautiful. They were used in jewelry a lot in Shakespeare's day. But they're both beautiful things that are created out of the sea. And so it's almost as though in sinking into the ocean, as part of his funeral, his father is transformed into something no longer himself. He's lost his self, as one does when turning from a living person to a dead body. But he's not turning into something that is grotesque or rotting. It's not describing him being eaten by the fishes like Shakespeare describes Polonius's body being eaten by worms in Hamlet. This isn't something about death that is ugly or horrifying. It's rather a beautiful transformation. His father's body is being transformed into beauty and into treasure. The song continues saying, Nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. It's the conclusion of the idea of the pearls and the coral. All the parts of your father that fade, in other words, that are mortal, that don't last, that would rot away, instead of rotting away, instead of fading, suffer a sea change. Now the word suffer here, when we think of the word suffer, we often think of like endure pain. But that's not the way Shakespeare uses it. Suffer means to undergo, yes, and to endure something, but not necessarily pain. It means to allow. So it's as though the parts of his body that normally would have rotted away, that normally would have faded away, instead allow themselves to be transformed into something rich and strange. He's being turned into something beautiful. And so there is this sense of, yes, you've lost your father. But at the same time, that image of loss is about transformation. The song continues saying, "Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Hark, now I hear them, ding dong bell." Sea nymphs are, of course, spirits of the sea, and Ferdinand has just stumbled across this island. He now feels as though he's surrounded by all of these invisible spirits who are singing to him and creating this music. He can't really interact with them, but he does hear them. The same kind of imagery is projected out into the ocean. There are sea spirits that now are taking his father's body and transforming it into treasure, and who are singing his knell. The knell is the ringing of the bell at a funeral service. So it's as though all of these spirits of the sea are grieving along with Ferdinand. There's a sympathy here. There is a famous collection of sea nymphs called the Nereids in Greek mythology, the daughters of the old man of the sea, who were often very sympathetic to mortals and who would try to help them when they shipwrecked or something like that. And so there's that, again, that sense of very positive, very empathetic kind of sea spirits who are grieving along with him, who are helping him to give his father a funeral, something that Ferdinand is incapable of doing because he's just been stranded with nothing but his clothes on this beach. And the song ends with the ding dong bell. And at this point there is an echo. All the spirits sing ding dong bell as well. They carry the burden. In Shakespeare, the word burden meant refrain in a song. And so they echo the main line of the song, ding dong bell. And so it's almost as though Ferdinand can hear these sea nymphs who are ringing the bell for his father and giving him that funeral that Ferdinand is incapable of doing. It's a remarkable song because it is both magical, beautiful, very haunting, and full of beautiful imagery. It definitely establishes the tone for Ferdinand that this is an enchanted island, which, although he is lost and alone, still seems to have a kind of sympathy for him. Thanks for watching! You can click to subscribe, or to go to my Patreon page, where you can find a lot of other great resources, or to watch one of my other videos, such as where I unpack the song "Come to These Yellow Sands," which occurs right before this song. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.